They told you something was wrong with you. They noticed you'd rather stay home than force yourself into another crowded room. They noticed you didn't rush to fill every silence with noise. They noticed your circle was small, or maybe that there was no circle at all. And somewhere along the way, they gave it a name. They called it lonely. They called it antisocial. They called it a problem that needed fixing. And if you're honest, a part of you believed them. A part of you started to wonder if something really was broken inside you, some missing piece that everyone else seemed to have been born with. You watched people move in packs, laughing, texting, never alone for a single second, and you quietly asked yourself, maybe that's what strength looks like. Maybe I'm the weak one for wanting the quiet. I need you to hear me carefully, because what I'm about to say will change the way you see yourself for the rest of your life. What you have been taught to see as a weakness is actually the rarest form of power a human being can hold. Solitude is not loneliness. They are not the same thing. They were never the same thing. Loneliness is what happens when you need people who aren't there. Solitude is what happens when you no longer need them at all. One is a wound, the other is a throne. And almost 200 years ago, a philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer understood the difference better than almost anyone who has ever lived. Schopenhauer was not a man who softened the truth to make people comfortable. He looked at human beings the way they actually are, not the way they pretend to be, and he arrived at a conclusion that most people are too afraid to even consider. He said that a man can only be himself for as long as he is alone. That the moment you step into the crowd, you begin to disappear. That freedom and solitude are so tightly bound together that if you do not learn to love being alone, you will never truly be free. Over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the truths Schopenhauer left behind about solitude, and I'm going to show you how each one is a brick in the foundation of a life that no one can shake. This is not about hating people. This is not about becoming cold or bitter or shutting the world out forever. This is about something far more valuable. This is about becoming so complete on your own that you stop handing pieces of yourself to people who were never going to give anything back. This is about building a self so strong that being alone stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like coming home. So before we begin, I want you to do one thing. I want you to drop this in the comments, type it out, make it real. My solitude is my power. Say it, mean it, and let's build. Number 1. Loneliness is a lack. Solitude is a choice. And the difference between them is everything. Here is where almost everyone gets confused, and this confusion is what keeps people trapped for their entire lives. They feel the ache of being by themselves, and they assume that ache is proof that being alone is bad. But that ache has a name, and the name is not solitude. The name is loneliness. And loneliness is not caused by being alone. Loneliness is caused by needing something from other people that you are not getting. You can be surrounded by 100 people at a party and feel the loneliest you have ever felt. Because loneliness is not about the number of bodies in the room. It's about the emptiness inside you that you are begging other people to fill. Solitude is the opposite. Solitude is when you are alone and you feel whole. It is when the silence around you is not a threat but a relief. It is when you no longer feel the desperate pull to reach for your phone, to text someone, to find anyone who will make the emptiness go away, because there is no emptiness to run from. Schopenhauer saw that the person who cannot stand to be alone is a person who has nothing inside them worth being alone with. They flee into company, not because they love people, but because they cannot bear their own emptiness. Think about that for a moment. The people who always need to be around others, who panic at the thought of a quiet evening by themselves, who fill every gap with noise and distraction and conversation that means nothing, they are not stronger than you. They are weaker. They have simply found a way to hide it. They have outsourced their sense of self to the crowd, and the moment the crowd disappears, so do they. You, on the other hand, are being handed an opportunity most people will never take. You have the chance to build something inside yourself so solid that you never have to run from it. But it starts with this one distinction. When you feel that ache, stop calling it a reason to chase people. Start asking a better question. What is missing inside me that I keep expecting someone else to provide? Because the day you can answer that question and fill it yourself is the day loneliness dies and solitude is born. And solitude, real solitude, is where every powerful person you have ever admired went to become who they are. Drop this in the comments. My solitude is a choice. Number 2, you can only be yourself when you are alone. This is Schopenhauer's most dangerous idea, and it is dangerous because it is true. He said that a man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and that if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, because it is only when he is by himself that he is truly free. Read that again slowly, because there is a lifetime of wisdom buried in it. What does it actually mean to be yourself? It means to think your own thoughts, to feel your own feelings, to move at your own pace, to want what you actually want instead of what you have been told to want. And here is the uncomfortable truth. The moment another person enters the room, all of that begins to bend. You start adjusting. You soften your opinions so you don't cause friction. You laugh at things you don't find funny. You hide the parts of yourself you think might be judged. You perform a version of yourself that is easier for other people to accept. You may not even notice you are doing it, but you are doing it constantly. Every conversation is a small negotiation, where you trade away a little piece of who you are in exchange for approval, for belonging, for the feeling of being liked. And most people spend so much of their lives in that negotiation that they eventually forget what their real self even sounds like. They become a collection of masks with nothing left underneath. But when you are alone, the masks come off. There is no one to perform for, no one to impress, no one to shrink for. In solitude, you finally hear your own voice without it being drowned out by everyone else's expectations. You remember what you actually think. You feel what you actually feel. You become, for those precious hours, completely and unapologetically yourself. This is why the crowd feels exhausting and solitude feels restful, even when the world tells you it should be the other way around. The crowd is exhausting because performing is exhausting. Solitude is restful because being real requires no effort at all. Schopenhauer understood that the people who are afraid to be alone are really afraid of meeting themselves. They have spent so long being who others want them to be that the silence terrifies them. Because in the silence, there is nowhere left to hide from the truth of who they actually are. You do not have that fear anymore, or you are learning to let it go, and that makes you free in a way that most people will never understand. So the next time someone pities you for spending an evening alone, remember what is actually happening in that room. You are not lonely, you are becoming yourself, and there is no more valuable thing a person can do with their time. Drop this in the comments alone. I am free. Number 3. The crowd costs you 3/4 of yourself. Schopenhauer said something that should be carved into stone. He said that in order to be like other people, we forfeit 3/4 of who we are. 3/4. Imagine trading away 3/4 of everything you could be, every original thought, every strange and beautiful idea, every ambition that doesn't fit the mold, just to blend in with people who will forget your name in a week. This is the hidden tax of belonging, and almost no one ever adds up the cost. To be accepted by the group, you have to be agreeable. To be agreeable, you have to be average. You have to file down every sharp edge, quiet every bold opinion, and hide anything that makes you stand out. Because standing out makes the group uncomfortable. The crowd does not reward what is exceptional in you. The crowd rewards what is ordinary in you, because ordinary is safe. And safe is what keeps the group together. So people spend their lives sanding themselves down. They give up the book they wanted to write because their friends would find it pretentious. They abandon the path they wanted to walk because their family wouldn't approve. They water down every big dream into something small and acceptable. And they call this maturity. But it isn't maturity. It's surrender. It's the slow trading away of a whole self in exchange for the shallow comfort of fitting in. Now here is where solitude becomes power. When you are willing to be alone, you are no longer forced to pay that tax. You get to keep all 4/4 of yourself. You get to think the thoughts that don't fit. You get to chase the goals that others would mock. You get to develop the parts of your mind that only grow in silence. The parts that need long, uninterrupted hours with no one demanding your attention. Every great thinker, every great artist, every great builder in history did their deepest work alone, because the group cannot create anything great. The group can only agree. Creation happens in solitude, always. This is the trade you are being offered, and most people are too afraid to take it. They would rather be a diluted copy that everyone tolerates than a full and undiluted self that a few people don't understand. But you are not most people. You already know the loneliness of the crowd, the strange emptiness of being surrounded by people who don't really see you. So stop paying the tax. Stop trading away who you are for the approval of people who wouldn't even notice if you vanished. Keep your 3/4, keep all of it, because the whole self you protect in solitude is worth more than any acceptance the crowd could ever give you. Drop this in the comments. I refuse to shrink. Number 4. Your inner world is the only wealth no one can take. Schopenhauer had a way of dividing people that cut straight to the heart of everything. He said that some people are rich on the inside and some people are poor on the inside, and that this inner wealth matters far more than anything you own or anyone you know. The person who is rich on the inside carries their happiness with them everywhere they go, because it comes from their own mind, their own thoughts, their own way of seeing the world. The person who is poor on the inside has to constantly reach outside themselves for stimulation, for entertainment, for other people to make them feel alive. Because when they are alone with their own mind, they find nothing there but boredom and unease. This is the great divide, and solitude is the test that reveals which side you are on. Put a person who is poor on the inside alone in a room with no phone, no television, no distraction. And within minutes, they are climbing the walls. They cannot sit with themselves. Their own company is unbearable to them. But put a person who is rich on the inside in that same room, and they are perfectly content. They have their thoughts to explore, their ideas to develop, their imagination to wander through. They are never truly alone, because they have themselves, and that is enough. Here is why this matters more than almost anything else in your life. Everything external can be taken from you. Money can be lost, status can collapse, friends can leave, relationships can end. The people you depend on can disappear overnight. If your sense of self is built on external things, then your whole world can crumble the moment those things are gone. But the wealth you build inside yourself, the depth of your mind, the richness of your inner life, the ability to find meaning and interest in your own existence, that can never be taken from you by anyone. It is the one possession that is truly yours. And there is only one place that wealth is built. It is not built in the crowd. It is not built in the endless scroll or the constant chatter or the desperate chase for the next distraction. It is built in solitude. It is built in the quiet hours when you sit with your own mind and you feed it. You challenge it. You fill it with books and ideas and reflection until it becomes a place you actually want to spend time. The more you invest in your inner world, the less you need from the outer one, and the less you need from the outer one, the more free and powerful you become. So stop seeing your time alone as empty. It is the richest investment you will ever make. Every hour you spend developing your inner world is an hour spent building a fortune that no thief can steal, no rival can take, and no loss can destroy. Most people reach the end of their lives having accumulated everything on the outside and nothing on the inside. Do not be one of them. Build the wealth that lasts. Drop this in the comments. My wealth is within. Number 5. Learn the law of the porcupines, and you will never be wounded the same way again. Schopenhauer told a small story that explains almost everything about why human relationships hurt. He imagined a group of porcupines on a freezing winter day. To keep from freezing, they huddle close together for warmth, but the moment they get close, they prick each other with their sharp quills and the pain drives them apart. So they separate, and then the cold drives them back together, and then the pain pushes them apart again. Back and forth they go, until they finally find the one distance at which they can share just enough warmth to survive without wounding each other with their spines. That, Schopenhauer said, is human society. People come together because they cannot bear to be cold and alone, but the closer they get, the more they hurt each other, because every person carries quills, sharp edges, needs, and flaws that wound whoever gets too close. And so people are forever caught in this dance, pulled together by loneliness and pushed apart by pain, searching for the right distance where they can have some connection without constantly bleeding. Now most people never learn this lesson. They keep flinging themselves into closeness, over and over, wondering why they keep getting hurt. They give everyone full access. They let anyone in. They pour themselves into people who have not earned it. And then they are shocked when those same people wound them, betray them, drain them. They mistake closeness for connection, and they pay for that mistake with their peace over and over again. But you, if you understand the law of the porcupines, gain a rare and quiet power. You learn that distance is not coldness. Distance is protection. You learn that you do not have to let everyone in to prove you are not lonely. You learn to keep the space that keeps you safe, to share warmth with the few who have earned it, and to hold everyone else at the exact distance where their quills can no longer reach you. This is not cruelty, this is wisdom. It is the difference between a person who gets wounded again and again and a person who has learned to guard what matters. And here is the deeper truth. The person who has found richness in solitude needs far less warmth from the pile in the first place. They are not freezing. They are not desperate for closeness at any cost. And because they are not desperate, they can choose their distance freely. They can let in exactly who they want, exactly as far as they want, and no further. That freedom, the freedom to control who gets close to you, is one of the greatest powers a person can have, and it is only available to those who are strong enough not to need the warmth in the first place. Drop this in the comments. Distance is my protection. Number 6. Boredom is the trap, and only the self-sufficient escape it. Schopenhauer looked closely at why people are so afraid of being alone, and he found something most people would never admit. He found that the real enemy is boredom, and that boredom is not just an annoyance. It is one of the most powerful forces driving human beings into bad decisions. He observed that most people, when left alone, are quickly overtaken by a hollow, restless emptiness, and to escape it, they will do almost anything. They will seek out company they don't even like. They will chase drama and distraction. They will fill their lives with noise, not because the noise means anything, but because the silence is unbearable. This is why so many people stay in relationships that are killing them, keep friends who drain them, and return again and again to company that leaves them empty. It is not because those people add anything to their lives. It is because being alone would force them to confront the boredom, the emptiness, the void inside that they have never learned to fill. They would rather be surrounded by people who hurt them than face themselves in silence. That is how powerful the fear of boredom is. It makes people prisoners of their own need for distraction, and the world knows this. The world is built to exploit exactly this weakness. Every screen, every feed, every endless stream of content is engineered to save you from ever having to sit quietly with your own mind. It offers you an escape from boredom that is so easy, so constant that you never have to build the one thing that would actually set you free, which is the ability to be alone and content. The more you depend on that escape, the weaker your inner world becomes, and the weaker your inner world becomes, the more you need the escape. It is a trap that tightens the more you struggle inside it. But here is the way out, and it is the same way out Schopenhauer pointed to almost 2 centuries ago. You do not defeat boredom by finding more distraction. You defeat it by building a self so rich that boredom cannot take hold. The person with a deep inner life is never truly bored, because their own mind is an endless source of interest. They can sit in silence for hours and find it full. They can be alone for days and feel no lack. And because they do not fear boredom, they cannot be manipulated by it. No toxic person can pull them in by offering to save them from the emptiness, because there is no emptiness to save them from. This is what real self-sufficiency looks like. It is not about doing everything yourself. It is about being enough on your own that nothing and no one can control you through your fear of being alone. The moment you no longer need anyone to rescue you from your own company is the moment you become truly ungovernable. No one can use your loneliness against you, because you don't have any. You have solitude instead, and solitude asks for nothing. Drop this in the comments. I am enough on my own. Number 7. Solitude is a skill you build, not a sentence you serve. Here is the mistake that keeps even people who understand all of this from ever claiming their power. They think solitude is something that happens to you, a condition you are stuck with, a punishment you have to endure until someone finally shows up to end it. But solitude is not a sentence, it is a skill. And like any skill, it can be weak or it can be strong, depending on whether you train it. When you first spend real time alone, it is uncomfortable. The silence feels loud, your mind reaches for distraction. The old fear whispers that something must be wrong, that you should be doing something, texting someone, going somewhere. This is not a sign that solitude is bad for you. This is exactly what it feels like to build a muscle that has been neglected your entire life. It is supposed to be uncomfortable at first, because you are strong in the wrong direction. You have spent years training yourself to depend on others, and now you are training yourself to depend on yourself, and that reversal takes time. But if you stay with it, something remarkable happens. The discomfort fades, the silence stops feeling loud and starts feeling deep. The restlessness settles into focus, and slowly, session by session, hour by hour, you start to find in your own company the thing you spent your whole life searching for in other people. You start to enjoy your own thoughts. You start to look forward to your time alone. What used to feel like an empty room starts to feel like a private kingdom that belongs only to you. Schopenhauer knew that solitude, like anything worth having, has to be earned through practice. He said that we should get used to being alone the way we get used to anything difficult but valuable, gradually, deliberately, until it becomes second nature. The person who has trained this skill has an advantage over almost everyone around them because they carry their sense of peace inside them. They can walk into any situation and out of any situation and remain whole, because their center does not depend on who is standing next to them. So do not wait for solitude to feel good before you commit to it. Commit to it precisely because it is hard, and let it get easier through that commitment. Spend time with yourself on purpose. Take the long walk with no headphones. Sit in the quiet without reaching for the screen. Let your mind wander until it stops fighting you and starts working with you. Every one of those moments is a repetition, and every repetition makes you stronger. You are not serving a sentence in solitude, you are training in it. And the person who comes out the other side of that training is someone the world cannot easily move. Drop this in the comments. I am building my power. And now we arrive at the final truth, the one that everything else has been leading to. When you stop needing them, you become untouchable. Think about what actually gives other people power over you. It is not their strength. It is not their intelligence. It is your need. The person who needs approval can be controlled with approval. The person who needs company can be controlled with the threat of loneliness. The person who cannot bear to be alone will bend, compromise, and surrender endlessly just to keep from being left. Every chain that other people hold over you is forged from something you need and are afraid to lose. So what happens when you no longer need it? What happens when your happiness comes from within, when your peace does not depend on anyone's presence, when you have built an inner world so rich that solitude feels like freedom instead of exile? Every chain falls off at once. You cannot be manipulated with loneliness because you are not lonely. You cannot be controlled with approval because you have already approved of yourself. You cannot be pulled into toxic company by the fear of being alone, because being alone is where you feel most like yourself. You become, in the truest sense, free. And a free person is untouchable. This is the power Schopenhauer spent his life pointing toward. Not the power to dominate others, but the power to need no one, which is a far greater and rarer thing. The world is full of people chasing power over other people, and every one of them is secretly weak because their need for control reveals a deeper need they cannot escape. But the person who has mastered solitude has a power that does not depend on anyone else at all. They have become self-contained, self-sustaining, self-sufficient. They are the one person in the room who wants nothing from anyone, and that makes them the most powerful person in the room by far. And here is the beautiful paradox at the very heart of all of this. When you stop needing people, you finally become capable of loving them cleanly. When you no longer cling to others out of fear, you can choose them out of genuine desire. Your relationships stop being about filling a hole and start being about sharing an overflow. You give from strength instead of grabbing from weakness. The people who earn a place close to you get the best version of you, because it is a version that comes from wholeness, not from desperation. Solitude does not make you incapable of connection. It makes you finally worthy of it. So let me say to you what almost no one will ever say. There was never anything wrong with you. The quiet you love is not a flaw. The small circle is not a failure. The evenings alone are not a sentence. They are the raw material of a kind of strength most people will chase their whole lives and never find, because they are too afraid of the silence to ever walk into it. You are not the weak one. You were always the strong one. You just needed someone to give you permission to see it. You have that permission now. Stop apologizing for the way you're built. Stop letting the world convince you that needing no one is a problem to be fixed. It is not a problem, it is a power. It is the foundation, it is the throne you have been standing next to your entire life without ever realizing you were allowed to sit down. So sit down, take your place, build your inner world until it is a fortune. Keep your distance from the quills that would wound you. Train your solitude until it feels like home. And walk through this world as the rarest kind of person there is, the one who needs nothing from anyone, and is therefore free. If this spoke to something you have always felt but could never put into words, then prove it. Drop these 3 words in the comments right now. I need no one. Say it and mean it, because it is the truest source of power you will ever have. And if you're ready to keep building this strength, if you want to become the most complete and untouchable version of yourself, then hit that like button. Share this with someone who has always felt alone and never understood why it was a gift. And subscribe to this channel, because your solitude is not the end of your story. It is only the beginning of your power.